Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I just kind of wanted to hang out and just do a fun makeup look with you guys. A couple days ago did a poll on Instagram for whether you guys wanted to see a fashion or a makeup video next, and makeup won. And then I also did another poll after that for which kind of makeup, whether it be graphic liner or a kind of metallic holiday smoky eye. And given it's the holiday time of year, you guys kind of resoundingly said holiday metallic smoky eyes, so that's what we're gonna do today. And I figured I might as well start from scratch and build everything and just kind of hang out and talk about the things that I'm using. So yeah, let's get started. I want to do like a kind of like metallic green. I have a lot of different like green colors that I want to use, so we're gonna do like a dark smoky metallic green with some glitter, and we'll see how the eye goes because I totally have no idea what I want to put with the lip. So yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna add a little bit of a primer to my skin. I want to do something that's kind of hydrating, so I'm gonna use the Peach and Lily Skin Shield Blurring Primer. This one right here. And I'm just gonna take about that much. It was like a pump and a half. And we'll take this all over. So the foundation I'm gonna use today is the Makeup Forever Reboot foundation. I love this foundation. It's a little bit more kind of like on the sheer to medium coverage, but I mean, you can definitely build it up a little bit, but if you are a full coverage foundation lover, this is probably not going to do it for you. But I love it because it looks really nice and healthy. And if I'm going to do a really elaborate eye look, I kind of like a slightly more translucent skin versus a super heavy matte full coverage skin. No shade or anything. If you like really matte full coverage skin, go for it. This is just kind of the way that I prefer to have my skin looking if I'm gonna go in on my eyes. Foundation is on, so I'm gonna move on to my concealer now. I've chosen to use another Makeup Forever product. I'm gonna use the the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Concealer. This is contrary to the foundation that I just applied. This is really thick, really matte, and really full coverage. But I don't know what it is that I like about it. I think it's just because it stays really well under my eyes, even though I'm not a super big fan, as I just mentioned, of products on the skin that are like this. I can contradict myself. But I do really love this concealer. I think that it wears really nicely with the Reboot foundation because it's always nice. Like I was saying, I like to have a slightly more sheer skin, and you always want to apply your makeup in anticipation of more makeup that you're going to be putting on top later anyway. So if I know that I'm going to be putting on a concealer or highlighting product or whatever under my eyes that is going to spread out pretty significantly like this does, and cover some of my more problem areas, I definitely want to make sure to not go too overboard with my foundation, knowing that I'm going to put another layer of coverage on top of that. And the thicker those layers are, the less skin-like it's going to start to look. So always be cautious about the layers that you're putting on so that you're not getting to a point where you feel like your skin looks too heavily built up and you're kind of losing the finish that you want on your skin. Again, though, if you like a real heavy, full coverage, thicker look, there's nothing wrong with that. There's just different levels of skin that everybody wants, and if you want something that's a little bit more sheer and you have a hard time controlling that, like I started out being a entirely full coverage bitch and it took me a while to figure out how to dial that back for myself and for my career. So makeup in anticipation of more makeup. Always consider that you're going to have an opportunity later to put extra coverage on, is all I'm saying. Okay, so I've gone under my eyes. I'm gonna go a little down the center of the nose, center of the forehead, a little tiny bit on my Cupid's bow, center my chin, and then I kind of go on the corners of my mouth and kind of do a little bit of an upturn there. I feel like it helps when I blend out to just kind of pull my mouth upward a little bit so that you don't get like a jowly look around the mouth. So, and I should mention as well that I'm using my favorite sponge ever from a Lori collection to blend everything out. So for today, I'm opting against applying a cream contour product just because I kind of don't feel like it. So I'm not doing that. I'm going to just set my concealer and my foundation now, and then I'll use powder, bronzer, and contour later. But I'm using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. This is just a little mini one I have. And I'm gonna press this under my eyes using a sponge. So I don't really do like, I feel like the baking is such a controversial like topic in terms of what is actually baking, whether baking actually works, blah blah blah. So I would say I don't bake because I think what people's general idea is of baking is like laying a ton of powder on your face and letting that extra powder sit for some, I don't know, made up length of time, and then dusting away the excess. So I think that's kind of like what traditional baking is. Just putting powder on your face is not baking. So that's what I do. I'm using this little tiny sponge here. This is from Hank and Henry Beauty. I love this little tiny sponge. I use it completely dry and take a little bit of my powder on this sponge and just press it right under my eyes. Here, I'll get closer so you guys can see. And maybe I'll put my mirror up here. There we go. So you can see I just kind of press that in this area here. So not a ton of powder, just like one tiny little dip into it, just enough to cover that bit there. And then really just press that in. All right, and so for the rest of the face that still has like some tackiness to it, I'm gonna take this big brush from a Lori collection. This is their Lush powder brush. I love this thing, it's huge. And I'm just gonna take powder on the top and just kind of stipple onto the rest of the face to press all the powder in. It's also gonna dust off any excess powder that might be sitting on the skin. Let's start adding the shape to the face. I'm going to use the Melt Cosmetics Sculpt Stack, the powder shades. And I'm going to start with the bronzer shade. So it's the powder bronzer in light medium. Looks like this. And we'll wait for noisiness to pass outside. Drink some tea. All right, let's apply our bronzer. This is a brush from Smashbox. It's called their Sheer Powder Brush. It's got a really interesting cut to it. I've always really liked this brush. So I use this just to start mapping out the shape. I like to do bronzer first because I feel like it's warmer. If you make a mistake with bronzer, it's a little bit easier to fix versus making a mistake with contour. Being that it's on the cooler side, it's harder to fix with foundations and stuff and can get really harsh really fast. So bronzer can be a bigger application anyway. So this just starts to help. You can already tell on this side, this just starts to give a little bit more shape and a little more color to the face. I'm going to continue by adding some bronzer onto my nose as well. So I'm using this little brush here from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I'm going to start, oh, this brush is falling apart. I'm going to start just at the tip of my nose just to start trying to create that like upturned shape and just kind of dusting across the tip of the nose. A lot of the contouring on my nose I'm going to do with the actual contour shade that's coming up in a minute, but I like to add a little bit of the bronzer first. So just across the top of my nose to start to give that little upturned shape, and a little tiny bit on the sides that'll be further enhanced and blended out and everything with the contour in a minute. So moving on now to contour, we're going to use the light medium contour powder, again from Melt. And I'm going to use this Smith Cosmetics 118 brush here to apply. I love this brush. It's really, really nice and dense and has a great shape and size to get deep into the contour. So I'm just going to pick up some of that, and I'm going to start right at the very top of my ear and just kind of chisel out right underneath where that bronzer is and blend it up into the bronzer. To me, this is so much easier to apply your bronzer and contour when you're just kind of applying the bronzer all over and then hitting the contour with a small, like slightly smaller brush in the deeper areas. All right, so our contour and our bronzer is applied. I'm gonna move on to my blush now, and to go with the eye color, I wanna do something a little bit more on the peachy side. So I'm gonna use this Nabla blush. This one is called Habana or Habana. It's a super, super light peachy color, and I'm gonna use a Hank and Henry brush to apply. And I like to stay really high on my cheeks when I apply blush. I think that this is a really good technique, especially if you are older, if you want to minimize, again, like kind of jowliness in this area, and you want to keep your cheekbones looking really nice and high. I apply really nice and high on the cheek. I really don't do any blush down in this area here. I keep it really nice and high and on the top of the cheekbone and kind of almost where I would put my highlight. All right, so I am gonna move on to highlighter now. And I always like to do my setting spray before I use highlight, just because I've applied a lot of powder on my skin. So if everything is just overly powdery, then my highlight is gonna have a hard time sticking and looking really vibrant and even. It might look patchy or dusty, which I don't want. So I'm gonna use the new Milk Hydro Grip Set Refresh Spray. Okay, and I let that dry down just a little bit. And then today for a highlight, I want to use this new highlighter I just got from MAC, which is so pretty. They always have really gorgeous holiday collections. The front of this packaging is super pretty. This one is called Let It Glow. It's an extra dimension skin finish. And I'm going to grab a Real Techniques brush, this little one right here. And we'll start adding. I love this highlight. It's very like frosty. Ooh, that's intense. So let's move on to brows. I am going to be using an Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pencil. I'm using their brow definer in the shade medium brown. I usually like to keep my brow process really simplified. I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer. I usually try to keep it really simplified because I'm doing a whole lot elsewhere on the face. So brows for me are, I just like them to look really nice and natural and defined. So I start by just brushing all of my brow hair up. And I'm gonna line the bottom first. Just kind of like a soft sketch working back and forth along the bottom. I'm barely touching the pencil to the skin. If you have a little bit of a heavier hand, I would maybe opt for a lighter color, but this is perfect for me because I use a really, really, really light hand, and it just gives me like the perfect kind of soft brown shade, kind of softer, ashier brown shade. So even just that line underneath the brow is already super, super helpful in shaping my brow, and it really helps to be able to show like how little product I really need to apply in the middle of my brow. I won't really apply much product in the middle of the brow. I'm really just kind of gonna outline the bottom, brush it through, outline the top and brush it through, and then I add a couple extra little applications towards the front. Like that's it. And then I will add some brow gel on top. I really like the Makeup Forever brow gel because it's really sticky. So I'll use this, brush all of the brow hairs up. But as you can see in applying that, I put very little to pretty much no product at all through the middle of my brow. That's all my natural brow in there. And I've only applied product where I didn't have hair. Alrighty, so everything is based out, our foundation, our brows, so let's get started on these eyes. I'm gonna go in with an eye primer to begin with. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer. Taking just a small amount, I apply like a dot of it onto my lid and then I take my beauty blender and blend it out until I have a nice smooth, even layer. All right, so the eye primer is applied. I'm gonna go in and add a base now to the eyes that has some color to it. The eyeshadows that I'm gonna use are really like dark and smoky, so I wanna make sure that I don't have to rely so heavily on the eyeshadows to do that and use a base that will help it along. So I'm using one of the Melt Cosmetics Ultra Matte Gel Liners. This one is called Fortuna. And it looks like this. It's a really, really dark, kind of teal blue-green. So this is gonna go all over the eye on top and bottom. I'm gonna take just a small lip brush here from Delium Tools to apply, and then I'm gonna blend it out with a brush here. This one is from the Makeup Institute. So the trick here is using small amounts of product and blending quickly and building up as you go. So I'm gonna start on the lid with just this amount here. Get a little bit closer to my lash line. There we go. Quickly switch over to your fluffier brush, and we're just gonna start working that color out. You can already tell, like, as I'm kind of like tapping on top of it and pulling out, obviously this color spreads really far. So that's why you're gonna use a small amount at a time. You can always add more if you like later, but if you've ever tried this before, using a cream, especially a gel liner base underneath an eyeshadow, it can go really bad really, really fast if you apply way too much of the gel liner. All right, I have my basic shape on top, and now I'm gonna move on to the bottom and do the exact same thing, exact same brushes. But I am gonna put this in my waterline as well. So I'm just gonna kind of tug my eye down just a little bit, paint this into my waterline, and then kind of like tuck it into my lower lash line as well. And again, I'm gonna do this in stages, just like I did on the top, and just buff out that gel liner until we're happy with it. Okay, so the base for our eyeshadow is applied. This is just, again, gonna make it so much easier so our eyeshadows later don't have to perform nearly as hard, and everything is going to look really nice and vibrant and metallic. So we're gonna start working with our shadows now. I'm gonna use this color right here from Sugarpill. It's one of their more newer released pressed shadows. It's called Bittermelon. And I'm gonna take that one on a fluffy brush and just start to work around the outer edges of this eye. This is kind of gonna be one of the lighter shades that I use. So I'm really just going through and creating a more vibrant and just kind of softened blend around the edges. And this is gonna go all the way around the eye. I'm not like putting this in my crease. This isn't going like really in this area. It's kind of all on the outer edges of the eye. Okay, so next shadow, I'm gonna be applying one of the Block Party eyeshadows from Dose of Colors. This one's called Leave Me Alone. It's a really pretty sparkly emerald green. And I'm going to use a flat brush, if I can find one. Here we go. Flat brush with a little bit of setting spray. I'm gonna use that same milk one that I used, spraying the brush couple times beforehand, and picking up the shadow. This one is really dark and sparkly. I'm gonna start with this on the outer corner of the eye first. Ooh, so pretty. All right, let's take a little bit of this guy along the bottom. that color is so beautiful. I cannot handle it. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna do the inner corner now, and we are almost done with the eyes. I'm gonna use this Hypnotic Lights from Milani. It's a liquid shadow. This one is called Electric Forest. It's a really pretty, like, kind of tealy green color. And I always, like, let me know if you guys agree with me, but, like, I struggle, to be honest, with liquid shadows. I, like, so many liquid shadows I've tried, no matter if they're super high-end or drugstore or whatever, like, I struggle with so many of them. They look streaky. They move all of your other eyeshadows. They're just, like, really tricky to use. So Milani, theirs are probably, like, up there with my favorite liquid shadows. I'm not super keen on liquid shadows just because they're finicky, they're tricky. But these ones in particular are so super pigmented, and I always have the easiest time working with these. So my best advice typically is to wipe off most of what's on, like, any doe foot applicator, unless you know it has very little product on it, because if you put too much product, then it just starts slipping around and streaking and looking crazy. So what I typically do is I apply a little bit with the doe foot, and then I use a dry brush to push it around. So touch a little bit of that. Oh, this is gonna be like the perfect color for it too. Little bit of that onto the inner corner, not going crazy. And then I'm taking a dry, like, little pencil brush. I think this one's from ColourPop. Yeah, this one's from ColourPop. And I'm not, like, pushing it around. I'm not, like, blending it. I'm literally tapping on top of it and just kind of, like, softening it into the skin. I don't want to pull it a bunch because then it's just going to start to, like, clump up and get crazy. And again, the Milani ones are, like, the better out of a lot of the ones that I've tried. Just let me know if you guys agree with me that, like, liquid shadows, they look beautiful in a hand swatch, but it's the second you put them on your eyes on top of any other eyeshadow, if you're putting it on, like, a blank eyelid that has nothing else on it, then you probably don't understand my struggle. But if you're ever trying to put liquid shadows on top of other eyeshadows or foundation, concealer, powder, like, whatever, I always struggle. So let me know if I'm crazy or if you guys have the same struggles, and if you have any recommendations of liquid shadows that you guys have an easy time with, because the Milani ones are really, like, up there of the better ones that I've used. A lot of liquid shadows are trash. All right, so at this point, you really could be done with this eye look. If you like the way that this looks with, like, all of the metallics, then you can go on your way and put some lashes on this, mascara, and be done. But obviously this isn't enough for me. And my inspiration for this look is kind of based off of a look that I did, I want to say it was like 2 years ago now, and it just says, like, I don't know if you guys ever do those looks and they just kind of stick in your head, like, ooh, that was a really good one. I liked that one. But it was this kind of, like, emerald smoky eye that I did a couple years ago, and I put glitter on the outer corner of the eye and just kind of, like, pulled it out, and it just felt really, like, festive and sparkly and fun, and I want to resurrect that. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, and I really hope I don't hate it because I really love this eye so far. So I hope I don't hate this, but I'm gonna use this glitter from Lunautics. It's a chunky glitter. It's like a chunky, like, gold, but also, like, iridescent glitter. It has a ton of different pieces in it, and the reason why I picked this one is because it has stars and butterflies and, like, a bunch of different shapes. So we're gonna see if I like this. The way that I'm gonna apply it, I'm gonna use the ABH glitter adhesive, and I'm gonna make a paste. So I'm gonna pour out a little bit of the glitter adhesive onto my hand. You could do this on a palette, which would probably be smarter, but here we are. It's already poured on my hand. So I've got the little bit right there on my hand. We're gonna pour a little bit of this glitter into the adhesive, and I'm just gonna use my finger to kind of work it together. So this is what I have so far. It's not quite enough for me just yet. Like, I want a little bit more glitter in this. It's a little bit sheer. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. But as you can see, when you mix the two together, it gives you a paste that's a lot easier to work from. This is not going to like fall out all over my face. And when I do this, the way that I'm going to apply this, I think I'm just going to take my finger. I'm pretty sure that's what I did the last time. You could use a brush as well, but I'm just going to use my finger because it's easier that way. And I don't want it to be really like intense amounts of glitter, if that makes sense. Like, I want there to be glitter, but I want it to be kind of like sporadic and like twinkly looking, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to take my finger and start taking really small amounts of glitter at a time and pressing it on top. Since this is like really big and chunky, again, that's why I want to use the small bits at a time, because this could go really, really crazy really fast. And just keep kind of pressing with whatever you have on your finger. So just grab a couple little guys, like a little dip onto the hand, check it, make sure you don't have like way too much product on there, and then just lightly tapping on that outer corner. I don't want that one there. Get away. I'm working out. Ooh, that looks so pretty. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Something like really fun and sparkly out on the outer corners. Okay, I decided to add even more glitter. And this is a glitter from Violet Voss from like probably forever ago. It's called Unicorn Baby, and it's super pretty. It's just like a multi like reflect with like teal and purple and blues. And I'm just taking a fluffy brush with a little bit of that adhesive and just kind of applying a little bit more glitter, because this has like more of that like bluey, purpley, greeny shift that the color on my lid has. So since the color that I put, the like glitter that I just put on, is a little bit more like on the golden side, I thought that this would give it like a little bit more oomph, so to speak. Alright, so let's finish off this super sparkly look. And I'm going to apply mascara and lashes. I'm using, this is the Melt Cosmetics Supernatural Lash Eyelash Curler that they just came out with the Beetlejuice collection. And I'm also going to use the Supernatural Lash mascara because I have really been liking it. It's unfortunately sold out right now, but they did, since my last video, I wasn't sure if they were going to be bringing this on as a permanent product since the whole collection was limited edition, but many people came to my rescue in the comments and let me know that they are keeping this permanent. So that is awesome because this is a amazing mascara. I really like it, and it wore very nicely when I did wear it, in that it didn't crumble, it didn't flake off, and it did not smudge, which I have really long bottom lashes, so almost everything smudges on my bottom lashes. So this didn't, and made me incredibly happy. So I'm really glad that this is sticking around. Okay, so let's apply some lashes. Today I'm using these lashes here from Boldface Makeup. These are called Seeing Double. And I'm using these with my favorite trusty Duo brush-on adhesive. Obviously, we're going for drama today, so I picked a real big dramatic lash to go with it. This is my first time trying this lash style from Boldface as well. I've loved their lashes forever. I use tons and tons of different ones, but this is the first time I'm trying this one, and I am definitely loving it so far. I love how like kind of like chunky it is. All right, so let's finish off this look. For the lip, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. You could totally do a red lip and make this a really Christmassy look if you want. But I'm thinking because I love how sparkly and dramatic the eyes are, that I want to keep the lip really light and matte and nude. So I'm going to do a liner and liquid lipstick combo. I'm going to do this lip pencil called BFF from ColourPop, and then I'm using Cookie Cutter liquid lip set from Melt Cosmetics. All right, guys, here is our completed super sparkly, super metallic, super green holiday look. I really love how this came out. I'm so glad that I resurrected this look from the dead because I don't think that it ever got its moment before, and it needed a moment. I really love it. I love the lip, and it's gonna take everything in me not to put a gloss on it because I am such a gloss girl now. I don't know what happened to me, but I have to wear lip gloss. But I will try my best not to put lip gloss on this, even though I probably will. But regardless, thank you guys for helping me pick what I was going to be posting today. I'm going to continue to do this as a series, I think, on my channel of kind of like Instagram helps me pick my makeup. So definitely keep checking on my Instagram story for the polls that I'll do for the future so you guys can help me pick what you want me to see, what you want me to be uploading onto my YouTube channel in general. So if you guys are liking what you're seeing, always make sure to hit that subscribe button. Rude. So rude. All right, guys, here is our completed super sparkly, super metallic, super green holiday look. I really love how this came out. I'm so glad that I resurrected this look from the dead because I don't think that it ever got its moment before, and it needed a moment. I really love it. I love the lip, and it's gonna take everything in me not to put a gloss on it because I am such a gloss girl now. I don't know what happened to me, but I have to wear lip gloss. But I will try my best not to put lip gloss on this, even though I probably will. But regardless, thank you guys for helping me pick what I was going to be posting today. I'm going to continue to do this as a series, I think, on my channel of kind of like Instagram helps me pick my makeup. So definitely keep checking on my Instagram story for the polls that I'll do for the future so you guys can help me pick what you want me to see, what you want me to be uploading onto my YouTube channel in general. So if you guys are liking what you're seeing, always make sure to hit that subscribe button. Rude. So rude. Okay, please stay in my ears, please. Okay, but anyways, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this crazy look and I hope you guys give it a try as well. If you do, definitely tag me and continue to let me know what you guys want me to do in the future. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.